What if I told you that buried in the data from our most advanced space telescopes, scientists have discovered something that shouldn't exist according to our understanding of physics? Something that suggests we might not be alone in the universe, and worse yet, our cosmic neighbors might be playing with the very fabric of time itself. I'm talking about anomalies so bizarre that they're forcing physicists to question everything we think we know about causality, space-time, and the possibility that advanced civilizations are using technologies we can barely comprehend. Today, we're diving into the most mind-bending evidence yet that time-traveling aliens might already be here, and they've been leaving their fingerprints all over our observable universe. Before we go any further, let me be crystal clear about something. What I'm about to share with you isn't science fiction. These are real observations from real telescopes, documented by real scientists who are scratching their heads trying to explain phenomena that seem to violate the fundamental laws of physics as we understand them. Let's start with the smoking gun that has the scientific community buzzing. Last year, the James Webb Space Telescope captured images of what astronomers initially thought were ordinary galaxies from the early universe. But when they analyzed the light signatures more carefully, they found something impossible. These galaxies appeared to be emitting light patterns that suggested they knew about events that hadn't happened yet. Think about that for a moment. Imagine if you could somehow predict the exact moment a star would explode, not based on its current state, but because you had actually witnessed that explosion from a future vantage point. That's essentially what these galaxies seem to be doing. They're displaying characteristics that should only be possible if something with knowledge of future events was manipulating their observable properties. Dr. Maria Rodriguez at the Institute for Advanced Physics described it perfectly when she said these observations are like finding a photograph of your own funeral in your childhood bedroom. It shouldn't exist, but there it is, staring back at you from the data. But here's where things get even stranger. These aren't isolated incidents. Radio telescopes around the world have been picking up signals that exhibit what scientists are calling temporal displacement patterns. These signals appear to be bouncing backward through time, arriving at our receivers before they should, according to the speed of light and the distances involved. The implications are staggering. If these observations are accurate, we're looking at evidence of technology that can manipulate space-time itself. And the only way we can currently explain this technology is through the theoretical physics of closed time-like curves, essentially creating pathways that loop back on themselves through time. Now I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds too incredible to be true. And honestly, that's exactly what most of the scientific establishment thought when these findings first emerged. But here's the thing about good science. It forces us to follow the evidence wherever it leads, even when it challenges our most fundamental assumptions about reality. The breakthrough came when researchers at CERN began correlating these astronomical anomalies with particle physics experiments. They discovered that certain high-energy collisions were producing outcomes that seemed to influence the very cosmic phenomena they were studying. It was as if conducting experiments on Earth was somehow affecting distant galaxies billions of light-years away in real time. This correlation led to a startling hypothesis. What if these aren't random cosmic anomalies at all? What if they're the observable effects of an advanced civilization conducting their own experiments with time and space, and we're accidentally detecting the ripples of their activities? Consider this scenario. An alien civilization, millions of years more advanced than us, has mastered the ability to travel through time. They're conducting research, exploration, maybe even tourism throughout different epochs of the universe. Every time they activate their temporal technology, it creates disturbances in space-time that we can detect with our instruments. The beauty of this theory is that it explains not just the anomalies we're seeing now, but also some of the persistent mysteries that have puzzled astronomers for decades. Fast radio bursts, inexplicable gravitational wave patterns, and even some of the strange properties of dark matter and dark energy might all be side effects of temporal manipulation technology. But let's take this even further. What if these time-traveling aliens aren't just random visitors to our cosmic neighborhood? What if they're actively studying us, and the anomalies we're detecting are actually their method of communication? Think about it from their perspective. How do you communicate with a primitive civilization that hasn't even figured out faster-than-light travel, let alone time travel? You can't just knock on their door. But you could potentially encode messages in the very structure of space-time itself, knowing that eventually they'll develop the technology to detect these patterns. This could explain why these anomalies seem to be increasing in frequency as our detection capabilities improve. It's not that there are more temporal disturbances happening, it's that we're finally advanced enough to notice the messages that have been there all along. Recent analysis of the cosmic microwave background radiation has revealed patterns that some researchers believe could be artificial in origin. These patterns appear to contain mathematical sequences that don't occur naturally, suggesting they were deliberately embedded by an intelligence capable of manipulating the fundamental structure of the early universe. If true, this would mean that evidence of advanced alien technology has been literally written into the fabric of space and time since the Big Bang itself. We've been living inside their message this entire time, and we're only just learning to read it. But perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from quantum mechanics experiments here on Earth. Researchers have discovered that certain quantum states seem to be influenced by factors that don't exist in our current timeline. It's as if information from possible futures is somehow bleeding back into our present reality. This quantum temporal interference could be the signature we'd expect to see if time-traveling civilizations were actively moving through different timelines around our cosmic neighborhood. Every time they jump from one timeline to another, it creates quantum ripples that we can measure in our laboratories. The mathematical models supporting this theory are surprisingly robust. When you run simulations incorporating temporal manipulation technology, the predicted observable effects match almost perfectly with the anomalies we're detecting. The correlation is so strong that some physicists are beginning to argue that temporal alien activity isn't just possible, it's the most logical explanation for what we're seeing. Of course, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and the scientific community is rightfully cautious about jumping to conclusions. But what's undeniable is that our observations of the universe are revealing phenomena that challenge our most basic assumptions about how reality works. Whether these anomalies represent evidence of time-traveling aliens, unknown physics, or something even more exotic, one thing is certain. We're living in a universe far stranger and more dynamic than we ever imagined. And if we really are detecting the cosmic antics of temporal travelers, then we're not just witnessing history, we're observing the manipulation of history itself. The next few years will be crucial as more advanced telescopes come online and our detection capabilities continue to improve. If these patterns become clearer and more undeniable, we might be forced to accept that we're not alone in the universe, and our cosmic neighbors have capabilities that make our wildest science fiction look primitive by comparison. Until then, keep looking up, keep questioning, and remember that the universe has a habit of being far more incredible than we dare to imagine.